conversation, the opportunity you've been waiting
Well, this
for.
is a tricky situation, all right? I can't just walk up to her and say, hey, I saw her working with her boyfriend in spectacular fashion on Friday. Want to go out with me? It requires a little more finesse.
We all know finesse is what you do best.
You shut up! Look, all I want you to do is start a conversation with
How
her.
am I supposed to start a conversation with her? I don't even
In the
know
world
her.
of fine art, film is one of the few that stands alone due to one process. Unlike a painting or a play, film can easily manipulate time and space through editing. A well-edited film can make itself invisible as everything glides smoothly from one frame to the other, without the viewer noticing. The goal of editing a conventional narrative film is to make it seem invisible as the story moves along. Due to this, the editing is often forgotten in the audience perspective. We barely think of what goes on in the cutting room, where the film itself is cut and put together like a jigsaw puzzle. In this quick segment, we'll discuss the history and the effects of an invisible process that is truly crucial to film, which is editing. Now let's trace back to the early days of cinema. The earliest forms of cinema, such as films by the Lumiere brothers and Edison Studios, were shot in one take. One of the earliest American filmmakers to practice editing is Edwin S. Porter, who worked under Edison Studios at the time. Let us look at The Life of an American Fireman, a film made in 1903, one of the earliest examples of parallel editing. Take a look at how the situation of a house burning down is presented at two different angles cut together to produce a story. It's an early form of manipulating time and space. That's one of the major effects about editing we don't often think about. Editing has the power to compress and expand time when it needs to. In this film, we cut to various locations, including from inside and outside the burning house in a matter of moments. In fact, these two shots, even though they're cut together. However, it shows what is happening and what is happening outside, and they're both presented at the same time, but Porter cuts it to two different times at two different locations. However, they're at the same time. So what is a montage? It is a compression of time and space by combing several pieces of film together. At times it is used for a mere transition of time, but in other theories it's used for meaning. In the 1920s in the Soviet Union, several filmmakers and teachers such as Sergei Eisenstein, Lev Kuleshov, and Isaiah Vertov, Soviet montage emphasizes on collision, to pull punches on the viewer, to clash. Sergei Eisenstein's most well-known film, Battleship Potemkin, there's a sequence called the Odessa Steps, where the soldiers attack the citizens of the town while marching down a flight of stairs. The juxtaposition of these shots creates a terrifying effect, as a sense of fear is thrown directly at the audience. People are dying, people are getting shot. Through this, Eisenstein villainizes the soldiers and sympathizes with the people. That's the effect of editing with film. Kuleshov effect. Well, it's when you take two different pieces of film together to create an effect. This idea was actually created by Lev Kuleshov, a Soviet teacher during the 1910s, 1920s, who actually taught the power of editing. However, we're going to create one of the experiments created by Lev Kuleshov. We have a close-up of a man, and we're going to keep his shot here. But, let's have the next shot of a bowl of soup. The reaction is the man's hungry. He's probably wanting the soup. Now we're going to take away that footage of the soup and we're going to replace it with a woman holding the baby. The man is sympathetic, kindly, nice. Now we're going to replace that with probably a cemetery, a Shava gravestone. You see, then this man has a sad look on his face. This is what the power of editing can do. When you take two different pieces of film together, they create an effect. Today, with the ability to use nonlinear editing programs, which allow us to experiment more with editing, in the films of the past, the editors had to literally cut the film. If they made a mistake, they would have to redo it, and it would take ages, unlike today when we can use Control-Z. With some software, anyone can edit their own productions, from graduation videos to making a full feature film. What you put in and what you leave out can easily affect the entire production's outcome. It is a craft that takes a lot of focus and a lot of attention. It is something that should not be ignored entirely. This invisible art form is where the film is assembled and where the magic happens. Every production wouldn't be the same without editing. I'm Benjamin Tuttle, and this is the quick session of editing.